Hey, what's going on, guys? It's John Shea from the No Shame Income blog, and today I wanted to talk about cold calling and SEO prospecting. So, what comes to mind when you're actually trying to cold call prospects? Thought I'd just kind of give some of my opinions, share some of my own experiences doing this. This is something where I actually was unemployed for a couple months, and I was trying to basically cold call businesses on my own. I was trying to see if I could make it by just cold calling, and it was definitely one of the most difficult tasks. Some of the experiences that I've had is that a lot of people you're calling, first of all, are getting calls from a lot of other people. It could be big high-end companies, it could be small single owner consultants in the US, and on top of that, there's a lot of people, whether or not they live in the US or they're in foreign countries, they're calling up saying that they're Google. They're calling up doing things like just really shady stuff these days. I think I heard a story about how someone was telling me they did this whole spiel how that they acted as if they already knew the owner, and they just tried to make their way in, they're trying to break down the front door, basically. The next thing that with that said, the biggest thing is that you have to realize that a lot of people are doing the same thing, and business owners are absolutely sick and tired of it. So if you come off like you're just some other company trying to pitch these services, then they're going to shut you down instantly. So with that being said, I've found that, if you come right in, right out of the gate, just talking about, hey, it's so-and-so from such and such company, I really don't think that's going to work. Currently at my day job, they actually have someone doing a lot of cold calling and sales calls, and that's kind of what they're doing. And they're basically trying to direct people into a webinar. I don't really feel like that's a great way to do things, because especially with certain types of businesses, it's very, very difficult to get the owner on the phone. Getting the person in charge that's actually going to be making the decisions is probably one of the hardest parts. And even as myself, someone that has clients, there's people that I literally have them as my clients. They've already signed up, and I have a hard time reaching them. If you could only imagine someone from the outside trying to get a hold of them, and if you actually can get a hold of them, you can't let them off the phone. You need to really pitch them the whole deal, right then and there. You need to be able to sell them right from scratch without losing them. Ideally, you'd want to bring it to a point where you have engaged interest. If they can't really talk about what it is you have to offer right then and there, then you'd have to probably set up something and make sure it's set in stone. But I've even found doing that, a lot of cases, they just won't show up to the call. So that's something where, in my opinion, you really need to do as much as you possibly can if you can get the right person on the phone. The next biggest thing is that you want to spend some time researching these people before you just straight up call them. Going in completely blind is not really very ideal. What you're going to find is that if you really know nothing about who they are, maybe you just have a name on paper, it's not really going to help you a lot. To maybe know a little bit about the company, how big they are, what their website looks like, do they actually need help? Are they ranking already well on Google? Do they actually need help with SEO? Those are some of the things you could really think about. So I'd say some of the next best things you could do would be actually taking the time to think about what it is you're going to pitch when you get on the phone. A lot of people I know have a fear of cold calling. It can be kind of rough. You're just going to get rejected a lot, things like that. But it is something that, it just has to happen. It's better to get a no than just not do it at all and not have any, not know whether or not they're going to be interested. Generally, I think the biggest hurdle is going to be breaking down that initial barrier and getting past that gatekeeper. So that's going to be something tricky. I've found that even with current clients that I call up, some of the gatekeepers, they don't know that we're the company currently working with them. So they'll actually say something like, oh, they're in a meeting right now. And, I know that it's I actually found out recently one of the clients that was happening to me every time I called. And I was like, I kind of realized, I was like, well, this is bullshit. There's no way this woman's in a meeting every time I call. And I later found out that she goes, oh yeah, that's how we block a lot of the solicitation type calls. So that's something that you may, not really be able to get around unless you're really, really savvy and, you can play it off in such a way that you could get around that. Another thing that I've done that's worked really well for me, and you could really only do this in very, very special circumstances, is when you make a phone call, you can actually, let's say I had a tree in my yard that I actually needed to get removed. And what I would do is, instead of calling them up and basically trying to pitch them my services and all this stuff, I would basically go into the call stating that I wanted to have a tree removed. So I was literally calling them as if I was looking for their service, and then I would let them talk all about what they do, how they can help me, and then I switched the conversation into, well, hey, this is what I do on the side, and maybe you'd want to barter. So I literally turn it into a conversation of, let's work on something together, and I can, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. And that's actually worked pretty well for me. I've had some people that have done they've done painting in my house. I had a painter paint a lot of the interior of my house. I recently had a guy cut down a tree and rip out a fence in my side yard. I had a guy refinish our bathtub. That one didn't work out so well because he actually did a bad job, and I wouldn't have paid him for the work, so I actually got it done for free, but basically he did a crappy job. And, beyond that, a lot of this stuff was it was really easy. Once I kind of let them talk about themselves, let it be all about them, then it was easy to break down that wall. I've even had conversations with an auto body shop. I was looking to maybe get some auto body work done on a classic car that I have. And I told myself, hey, I mentioned to them, hey, I do some of this on the side, and they were like, oh, no, we're not interested, thanks, and she immediately turned me down, even after letting them kind of break down their own wall, talking about what they do. And what ended up happening was I said, well, how about I send you a video? I'll show you what some issues are, what things you can improve. And I said, well, do you at least take a look at it if I send it to you? And she said, yeah, sure. And sent the video, and she loved it. She was like, wow, this makes so much sense, and yada yada. And I ended up meeting them, and we never really kind of came up with something because I just decided it would have cost me some money. It wasn't like the material was free, and it wasn't an urgent thing. So I decided to pass on it for the moment, and that was something I could always come back to it. If I decided to do it, I could say, hey, do you guys still want to barter? And I'm sure they would be open to it because they knew that there was something of value there that I could give them from what I already explained. Another thing that I really like to do when it comes to cold calling is I like to send an email first. And what I've done in the past is I used to create these long video audits. They'd be 5-10 minutes. I'd go through a prospect site and I would do all this stuff. And at the time, I didn't have any tracking tools to even see if they opened the email, let alone even watch the video. So I was calling these people being like, hey, I sent you this video, and come to find out, probably I'd say at least 7 out of 10 people would never even open it and watch it. So I was spending all this time creating these really well put together videos, and just nothing was happening. So that's something too that what you can do. I didn't actually come up with this, but one of my mentors, Leo Rahan, he came up with the idea you can go out there and do what's called a fake audit. So when you send an email, you could say, hey, I've created a video for you, and you could overlay their website behind a fake video player, and it would be an image. That's all it would be. It wouldn't be a clickable link. I could say, well, I put together an audit for you. Would you like to see it? So that way, maybe when you phone them up, you could say, hey, I sent you this email and I put together an audit for you. Is that something you wanted to see? And if they say, yeah, I'd love to see it, then that's when you go and create it. So you're not spending all this time, trying to put all this stuff together. So that would be some of my advice on cold calls. Ultimately, it's not really very fun. There are better ways to go out there and get SEO clients. I'm going to leave a link below. You can actually check out, get some more information about how I get more SEO clients. And if that's something you're interested in, check out that link. Again, if you like these videos, feel free to like and subscribe. And again, I'm going to be putting out a lot more videos like this, and I hope you found this helpful. Thanks.